is really shining. And what do you think about this take, Zika? I feel like Paladin right now, all 3 of its specs are just like, it's all around just like a super good class. Like all 3 of the specs on it are super strong at the moment.
I mean, I would say right now the best healer for sure is Holy Paladin. Second best healer, probably a Prots Paladin, and the third could be a
Red
Paladin.
Not as a tank, as a secondary healer.
No, as the main healer. No, I'm just messing. But there was a team that almost qualified playing a Prot healer. So definitely scary stuff. But yeah, Paladin, super great.
Scary, isn't it scary that a Prot Paladin is good at healing, or that it was just scary to face against a Prot Paladin?
Well, they're insane at healing. Like one word of glory can do like upwards 40,000 healing. So they're pretty good at that, but also they just make you immune to dying.
Ooh, we got a cleave mirror between the 2 teams here, and they're going straight for the healer. Asgarath, the target, acquired. Oldness strikes, going straight for the throat. How is Asgarath going to deal with this onslaught? He seems to be struggling, but now Zeepai backs him up. Pillar of Frost, big chill streak combo. Nerd Rage dips low. Tana responds, dropping that healing tide totem, getting ready for the cleave damage. Good recovery from both sides so far. You can tell that these are some of the top teams in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, right now it looks like Oldness strikes. They're getting really aggressive on Asgarath, and I mean, normally the Frost Death Knight's super oppressive with the Chains of Ice, making it difficult to stay on target, but that Blessing of Freedom from Kara onto Nerd Rage and himself makes them a lot more mobile in this matchup than they normally would be, and I feel like Asgarath is going to be in trouble. If they consistently land the Storm Bolts, the Hammer of Justices, it's going to be really difficult for him to survive, but Blizzo and Zeepai kind of just throwing caution to the wind right now and going after Tana, but the off heals of Kara, I feel like he's going to be able to live for quite some time.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell this is a matchup that Skillcap wanted. They wanted to pick that Frost DK into those other melees, but I feel like in terms of mana, Oldness strikes are looking really good. Let's see what they can do here. There's the Blinding Sleep. They go for the Kyrian Spear here. Big damage coming out. Tana's going to respect that. Trade out the Astral Shift. Nerd Rage taking a little bit of damage here as well. This is the big DK setup here coming through for Zeepai, and he's still going here. Tana is still in a lot of trouble. Going to use that Earthen Wall totem to try to deflect the situation. Kara splitting up here with the rest of his team, and now here we go. Asgarath could be the target of choice here. Let's see what they end up doing. Kara, big damage here. Dropping Blizzo extremely low right there, and that's going to be the sacrifice coming out from Asgarath, as well as that Avenging Wrath. So both teams here trading blow for blow, and Tana is going to be next up here on the chopping block.
All right, let's see how much they can get done here with that Empowered Rune weapon. Asgarath still on the back foot, though. Really struggling, down at half health. Needs to be careful to get that Divine Shield saved by the Light Procs. Asgarath begins to recover. Tana's trying to retreat away with that Blessing of Freedom. Ghost Wolf combo. Good coordination there between Kara and Tana to escape the cleave of Zeepai and Blizzo. Hammer of Justice down onto Asgarath. Big hit comes in. Stormball on Kara. Zeepai grips Tana into the double Blinding Sleep. Triple Blinding Sleep. Looking for the triple Syndragosa stun. Big combo by Zeepai. Huge pressure coming out from that chill streak. They're desperately trying to recover with the Ascendants popped of Tana, but this damage is absolutely endless. It's not normal to see the Ascendants not immediately recover an entire team. Tana still can't get himself up above 50% health, trying to escape Blizzo's clutches, managing to get in the backline, get some healing waves out. But if that happens again, it's easily lights out. Grip into triple fear. Skillcap EU, setup after setup. They're swapping over to Kara, trying to catch Oldness strikes off guard. But Asgarath dips low, has to Divine Shield, and it has been back and forth. It has been a bloodbath in game one.
It absolutely has. I mean, Tana still has some stuff to work with. The Astral Shift rotating back up, and of course, Kara with the Divine Shield, the Blessing of Protection, going to be able to really help out his team. Blizzo getting swapped to now, might just get dropped. He's getting low. Looks like Asgarath is being caught into that Intimidate Shout. Great plays coming in from both of these teams. Such high-level plays in the upper bracket right now. Blizzo leaps over, looking to get on target. Zeepai kind of just waddling his way over as well, trying to get that damage onto Tana, but Asgarath has to be very careful. The next wings coming in from Kara could be absolutely devastating, but a big swap here. Big heals coming in from Kara. This could potentially be the Divine Shield. They're seeing a little bit more damage with the Earthen Wall totem drops down. It looks like Oldness strikes will be able to hold on.
Yeah, and you can tell Oldness strikes, they are banking on a mana win here. They're just, look at Kara, he never stacks up here with the melee, he just stands back. Look at him, he's a second healer, spamming out those flashes of light, keeping Tana alive, making sure that he's not making any additional pressure by stacking against that Frost DK for those shield streaks, for that cleave damage, and he's keeping his healer nice and safe. As soon as the Starlock is over, he's gonna give him that freedom, and here we go, big damage now coming out from Kara. beautiful anti-magic zone though by Zeepai. Gonna deflect that in Nerd Rage, doing a lot of pressure here on the Warrior, and I gotta say it feels good towards Blizzo and Nerd Rage. Go toe-to-toe again on those Warriors. Some of the best Warriors Europe has to offer. Kara once again in that defensive positioning, and look, Tana, he's got all of his cooldowns. Askarath does not, and his mana is not looking good. This is looking like Oldness Strikes are gonna be walking away with this if they can just keep this up for a little bit longer, but a big setup coming now.
Yeah, the Spirit Bastion is down. Triple cleave here from Skill Cap to you. This is their last chance at Kara. No! They were so close. So close. Askarath had 0 mana. Just needed to trade the Divine Shield, not coming through in time. And that means that Skill Cap DU will take game number 1, and they're likely considering that wasn't like a clean win. That was pretty dirty. I don't know if we want to do that again. They're probably going to be reconsidering their comp, I think, moving in the future.
All right. Well, I mean, either way, Sid, what an incredible amount of damage coming out from Skill Cap EU on that double melee cleave. Do you think that this is something that they're going to repeat, though, in game number 2 for Skill Cap, Sid?
I think it depends on the map, but they also have some wizard compositions. So I feel like if Skill Cap you were anticipating like a Rep Paladin, I was expecting them to run wizards. I think the Frost Death Knight made sense too, though, and they know that Oldness Strikes doesn't have something to deal with that. But after seeing that, I'm not sold that either team is like 100% favored. It seems like if Kara trades cooldowns, they can win on mana, but if Skill Cap you slip through and there's even one mistake, they can burst somebody down during the Abomination Limb and the Pillar of Frost from the Death Knight. So it's still a little bit too early. Obviously, you can't call the matchup on one game there, but I wouldn't be comfortable if I was Asgarath at 0 mana at that point in the game and almost dying a couple times. So I wouldn't completely write off them trying a different composition for game number 2, but maybe they go onto a Windwalker comp with Blizzo and Windwalker instead, and try and get some extra cleave, or with a mage as well, something like that. That's the kind of comp that we were expecting to see a lot, the Windwalker mage. So it's nice to see the Death Knight. It was able to pull off a win, but I think it was a little bit too close for comfort.
Yeah, it certainly is just nice to see Zeepai on that Death Knight, and it certainly worked out for them in that game number 1 for Skill Cap EU. Let's take a look at that replay and break down exactly how they pulled off that game number 1 victory.
So I think what happened here is Blizzo activated his Blade Storm. Look at him, he's going battle stance, and he's playing that gnome as well. Big shout out to all the gnomes out there. And here we go, there's the setup, Spear of Bastion, there's the Sharpen, and Blizzo gets bopped. And look at this is the legendary right there from the Warrior. While you Blade Storm, you cast a Mortal Strike on a random nearby target. So while you're Blade Storming, you're also spamming out those upwards 8,000-10,000 Mortal Strikes. And one of them procced on Kara, unfortunately, and just instantly erased him from existence. Yeah.
And so let's talk about DK. This is the first time we're seeing it today. I mean, we don't have a lot of games under our belt, but it's also not really something we see Zeepai play too often. We usually see him favor that the Shaman classes. But what exactly is different about DK as of now, Ven? Is it just like the Covenant abilities, or why are we seeing Frost right now?
I mean, Frost is just really solid. It has really good burst potential. It has good damage denial with the Heartstop aura, the Delirium, but it's basically the same way it's always functioned, where you're just really, really disruptive. You stop people from playing the game, grip them away, Chains of Ice them, just really, really slow them down. And then you have a big one-shot where you grip multiple people together, you use the Blinding Sleet, you kind of set up for the Chill Streak bounce with the Blade Storm, and that's when that's your go, where you can actually end the game. And I think in that situation where we saw Oldness Strikes, they were so far ahead in terms of cooldowns. I feel like Kara, he just needed to respect. I mean, it's easy in hindsight, but he just needed to respect that burst potential, use the Divine Shield a little bit earlier on. They could have continued their assault onto Asgarath. I think they would have actually won the game. I really feel like they were just moments away from closing it out.
Right.
So if we see that matchup again, I would actually still put it in favor of Oldness Strikes despite losing that game.
Now, this is the first cup that we are seeing in Shadowlands. We haven't even seen the North Americans play yet. And, when we see games like that happen, Zico, we see those big burst moments and players just go down instantly. A natural reaction that a lot of people may have is like, oh, that class needs to be nerfed. Like, for instance, like, Frost DK needs to be nerfed now that we saw that just absolutely dominate in that last game. What would your response to be to that?
Press your buttons. Press your buttons, and then if you still can't do anything, maybe it needs a nerf. But I don't think. I think you need, first of all, you need a bigger sample size than one game, and I think second of all, as soon as you learn how a class does their one-shot rotation, it becomes a lot easier to dealing with it. So like thinking like Legion, like the foul kills consumptions that we used to see from these demo warlocks that literally did 100-0. We didn't actually see that many demo warlocks towards the end of it because people realized, okay, he's ramping up his one-shot. Okay, here we go. There it is. We're going to preemptively react to it. So I think there's definitely some stuff that is a little bit crazy right now. But I think, letting the meta play out and kind of giving everybody more time to identify those things is not a bad idea.
And as you guys know as well, they are on the tournament realm. If you guys want to check out their gear, you can check out the bottom bar down below or go to awc.gcd.tv to see what gear these guys are choosing to run with, as well as talents. There's all kinds of good information in there. Supatis, since they have that freedom to sort of have like the perfect build for their tunes, how different is the pacing and the style of play on ladder versus tournament realm?
Well, like Kara's playing a legendary that I made on my rep Paladin on live, but then I got sad about making it because it's not a damage legendary. But it kind of makes sense for the matchup that he's in right now. It's every time he spends Holy Power, every Holy Power reduces the cooldown of some of his blessings, so Sacrifice and Freedom. And that made sense, so he gets Freedom more often to get out of the slows from the DK. And he's also running Unbound Freedom, which is the honor talent, lets you freedom 2 targets. So he can just sprint 2 targets all game. And I like the way that he's thinking there. Like, oh, it's a Frosty K. We're going to have a hard time moving around. I need more movement. So I'm going to try this legendary. And then on the tournament realm, you can do that without sacrificing the damage one, like I tried to do. And now I don't have the damage one. And I'm sad about not having the damage one. But he's running that build to try and get more mobility for this specific matchup, and it looks like we're going to see the matchup again. So skill capped EU feel confident. Maybe they're going to position a little bit differently moving into this next game because they were losing on mana quite hard.
Well,
and we are going to be going to Blackrock Hold. Sorry, Blackrook Hold. Sorry, Zico, I cut you off there.
No, I was just going to say, I actually think this is skill capped EU's best matchup. So the logic for skill capped EU is, if they pick anything with a mage, they're gonna lose 100%. The comp that we see from the old man here, it is a nightmare playing mage against it. You don't want to play any mage matchup into that comp, at least as fire. I don't know about frost or arcane, but for sure as a fire mage, this is not a matchup you want. So for skill capped EU, I think they're thinking, okay, frost DK is really strong into other melees. Zipa is a frost DK. We got to play that TSG. And they have a clear win condition like that, setting up those big blinding sleet ghosts with the Blade Storm and the Bastion Spear. But at the same time, I think Oldness strikes are actually advantaged in this matchup because I feel like their comp is a good answer to everything Skill Cap has.
All right, let's see. Here it goes. Asgrath actually getting bursted down really quickly here. But once again, this big setup from Skill Capped EU, putting out massive cleave damage. But it looks like Tana, Nerd Rage, and Kara are able to hold on, and now it's going to be up to Oldness Strikes to strike back. And we'll see Kara right now with his Avenging Wrath going to be able to put out tons of pressure. Everyone's afraid right now on Skill Capped EU. They do not want to get one shot by this Retribution Paladin. Asgrath getting a little bit lower, but it looks like he should be able to hold on with the Avenging Wrath of his own. You can see the Chains of Ice right now on Nerd Rage, basically forcing him to only go after Blizzo. And outside of those freedom windows, we see where Kara is able to get out those double freedoms. It's going to be really difficult for Kara and Nerd Rage to stay on target.
Big setup here on Blizzo. Lava Burst coming in from Tana as well. Stormbolt out of the fear. Beautiful crowd control. Blizzo has to trade Die by the Sword, and that was outside the Divine Toll window of Kara, so that's a big liability now on Blizzo as a target. He's still just going to recklessly charge over to Tana and try and cut down the healer. Nerd Rage is trying to get on Asgrath. Asgrath uses Freedom. Nerd Rage leaps over to get back on target. Tana gets stunned up. Asgrath looking like he wants to go for follow-up. Blinding Sleet into the Spear of Bastion. Big combo here from Skill Cap to you. They need to net some cooldowns cooldowns out of this burst window. They get the die by the sword from Nerd Rage, but still not the ascendance from Tana. Tana just boldly holding on to it, relying on the word of glory from Kara to carry through. Now Asgrath in a stun. This is going to be Divine Shield. That's devastating for Skill Cap DU. 2 players losing their most vital defensive cooldowns only a minute and a half into this game. Absolute devastation. Skill Cap DU, they're going to be desperate, but fortunately they've got the Unbound Rune Weapon. They've got the Syndragosa stun as well. They could set up for a massive burst window here. They're basically netting. They need to net a kill on Nerd Rage. He's got no way to get out of that stun. No die by the sword. Do they have enough crowd control for Kara and Tana to net a kill onto that target in time? Tana's trying to look for some cheeky hex play, not finding it. Asgrath gets rooted up. Nice earth grab totem here, locking the whole team down. I like what Kara is doing as well. Kara's playing from ranged. He doesn't want to stack up and get bursted down by that cleave, and he's able to hit Asgrath at the same time. Great positioning from Kara. They grip Tana in, but Kara's not CC'd. They do get the grip, though, with the Abomination Limb. The entire team pulled together. They need to get ready for this. Syndragosa hits. Spirit Link Totem connects on the combo, but Tana gets shredded down. Ascendance pop, but it gets sharpened, barely recovering from the attack. But now that they've stabilized, they need to go after Asgrath. That was a huge play by Skill Cap DU. They netted exactly what they needed to, but now they're going to be on the back foot. Asgrath dips low. Huge hit connects from Kara. Avenging Wrath is rolling. Asgrath ducks for cover in the room, but now his team is getting cleaved down as well. And cleave mirror matchups are probably the most stressful to heal. And Blizzo's in trouble. Nice hex by Tana off to the side. Snipes Asgrath, and Oldness strikes back 1-1.
Wow. That was insane. I mean, in this matchup, Asgrath did such a good job staying away from the fight. He was able to hold on to his Divine Shield. I think he held on to his Divine Shield basically the entire game. But Oldness strikes. They were able to just capitalize. Asgrath got a little bit too far away. The Hammer of Justice onto Blizzo with the Hex. That was just such a nice setup. But the more I see this matchup play out, the amount of damage that Skill Cap EU is able to put up with this Frost Death Knight Warrior setup, it is horrifying. Yeah. I mean, even they have an Earthen Wall Totem down. They use Astral Shift. They use Ascendance. They have a Ret Paladin healing. You know, they have Commanding Shout, basically everything, and they're still almost dying. I mean, that is absolutely crazy.
It was one of those setups. I think Tana was 1%. I think Kara was like sub 15%. All of them just getting cleaved down. I thought they were going to go down without using anything. It was so close. But yeah, that setup at the end there was so nice as well, allowing them to secure the win there at the back of that offensive hex. But my God, you can't really tell even which side is favored here because both teams can just do so much.
Yeah, and that was going to be my follow-up question. I mean, did it even look like it was in favor of Skill Cap EU until the very end there, where they they finished it off? Now it's 1-1 here. This best of 5 series. We are in the upper bracket, so loser of this match does go down to the lower bracket. And again, just to reiterate, guys, these games, these first 4 cups for these players are so important. They want to get up into that circuit, so they need as many points as they can possibly get. So pressure is certainly on for these guys. Now that we go into game number 3, though, Ven, what do we feel like do we want to see them change anything up, or do you think it's just a matter of like getting that pacing in, coordinating a little bit better on those setups, and maybe pushing a little bit more for defensives? I'm not sure. What do you think about this?
Well, I think on the Grand Arena, it was pretty clear. I mean, I feel like for Oldness Strikes, their composition is very like televised. Everyone knows this is their composition. This is what they're going to run in Skill Cap EU.
Right. They
picked the Warrior Frost Death Knight Paladin as their best option. So I really don't think we're going to see them switch. And maybe they could go to a big map, but I just don't see it. The Retribution Paladin, the Warrior, the Shaman especially. If you have a Shaman on your team with a Retribution Paladin and with a Warrior, like Zico mentioned, as that Fire Mage, it's really difficult to actually get off of an effective combustion. And when combustion's down, you are losing the exchange, and you are losing the exchange hard. So I feel like they have to just continuously go with this cleave matchup and just not get caught off guard, because they had quite a few cooldowns in that last exchange when Blizzo fell over. So it's just one of those series where whatever team makes a mistake, they'll probably end up losing. And I think it's going to be the same comps for the rest of the series.
All right, and speaking of that last game, let's take a look at a replay and break down those exact cooldowns that we saw coming out from these teams.
I want to know, what does Asgrath actually trinket because he trinkets something and then he gets hexed on his trinket. So right now, they're kind of just trading blow for blow. Asgrath is in the room and he's going to get hexed soon, but he has his trinket right. Oh, so he gets feared and then they swap to Blizzard. He trinkets the fear into a hex and he wanted to trinket sacrifice, but he was just slightly out of range. So that was a nice setup there, but also the positioning of that room kind of made that possible. So Chana, he's in perfect position there to get that off, but also kind of the perfect storm there. No pun intended.
Yeah, I guess I actually was wrong. He didn't have the Divine Shield either, so no Divine Shield. They managed to get the Hex on the Trinket, and that was a really nice setup.
And how do you feel like these games are gonna change between this cup and sort of later on in the season? Do you feel like we're gonna see? I mean, of course, there's gonna be like hot fixes and patch changes come out. They're gonna change like the meta a little bit, but how much do you think that's gonna change what we're seeing so far in this tournament, Supatis?
I think the biggest thing is just adjusting to having full gear and equal gear, because I think throughout like the initial stages, some people were getting ahead like 10 item levels than other people, but now the item levels are evening out. And then on here, having such a high health pool, it seems like Fire Mage struggles more because it has to kill in that specific window. So it's a lot weaker because obviously without Combust, Fire Mage is kind of just not doing much. It's basically spamming Polymorph and waiting for its Combust, spamming Fireball. But they're going to try it. And this is the composition that I feel like most people in Europe was saying was the best comp at the moment, the Ellie and the Fire Mage. But specifically into Overwatch Spell Reflect, likely Nerd Rage going to switch his Legendary to the Spell Reflect Legendary so he can Spell Reflect 2 targets, Grounding Totem, and Hex potentially from Tana with Windshare. There's a lot of disruption from the Warrior Ret Shaman specifically that could shut down this comp. But this is going to be a battle of the Titans. I mean, this is like one of the best, if not the best, Ret Warrior in Europe, and then one of the best, if not the best, Ellie Mage. So we're going to see this matchup played at the highest level nonetheless.
How do you feel like this map does with these compositions that we're seeing these teams pick here, though, on Tolvaron Zico?
Well, I think this map is the one saving grace for Morrow is he has a lot of room to kind of drag away the melees on if he gets focused, and I think he will be. So I think the map is really the only thing that's going to be working in Skill Cap's favor. I think if this map wasn't like in the pool, I don't even think they would play this. So yeah, map definitely going to be a big factor. And to kind of build a little bit on what Sid was saying, I do agree. This is for sure, the best Mage Ellie versus the best Warrior Rat. And I do think whoever wins this, it actually has a very, very high chance to win the entire tournament. I think the winner of this wins the tournament, if you put it like that.
All right. What do you think about that, Ben?
I'm going to trust Zico on this one. I feel like there's still some really strong teams that we haven't seen yet, but I mean, I think both these teams, the compositions that they bring, top tier, and obviously they're phenomenal players. So obviously, betting on these two teams not going to be a bad option whatsoever. But we still have Method and Reload Esports in our next series, and I'm curious to see how they're going to be playing that one.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. I mean, so far these games have been super exciting. I know the chat is excited. I can hear how excited you guys are. And I just feel like so far all of these games have been awesome. And I don't know about you guys, but I am so excited for just the rest of the cups and to see, North America play as well. I mean, the meta's a little bit different over there. What do you guys think?
Different, but same. I feel like there's going to be a lot of... It's one of those things. There's initial kind of growing pains when expansion comes out, and I feel like both regions are taking information from each other right now. And if it does turn out that this Ret Warrior Shaman team, or maybe Shamans in general, are really effective against the Fire Mage, maybe more teams are going to start picking that up as a solid answer against all of these different Fire Mage variants that we're seeing in North America. But we'll have to see how this one does play out. But I think it's going to be a similar story. Holy Paladins, Fire Mages, a lot more Windwalker monks. I don't think we've seen a single Windwalker monk today.
Not today, no.
And not a single Windwalker monk, and maybe we won't even see a Windwalker monk in our next series as well. So that's really interesting because a lot of people put that as one of the strongest classes right now. But I feel like at the expansion at this point, it's the Windwalker monks pointing at the rep paladins pointing at the fire mages pointing at the elemental shaman, as this class is so good, this class is so broken, and I still feel like there is still a lot of learning going on.
All right, well, we'll see what we learn in game number 3 on Tolvaron Arena. It's Skill Capped EU versus Oldness Strikes.
All right,
Completely
let's see
different
here.
matchup. I'm interested to see if the Wizards can pull it off here. Zeke, obviously, with first-hand experience, I can imagine with the Mage POV into Brett Warrior with Overwatch. So let's see if it ends up playing out that way. Obviously, this map is going to pay a lot of favors as Maro and Zeepai pull back, and Nerd Rage and Kara will have to advance towards them. Maybe baiting a Dispel on this Hex. Tana not utilizing the Dispel on the Hex on Nerd Rage here. Now he's polymorphed. Kara pops that Shield of Vengeance preemptively. Tana gets baited out in midfield. Kara could be in trouble. Huge hit. He has to Divine Shield immediately here. Overlapped a bit with the Rallying Cry. That was the Combustion, so more than a fair trade. And now Maro on the back foot. Blessing and Protection. Where are the Purges? Maro blinks back out into midfield using that Night Fae Soul Shape. Kara trying to make his way, but Zeepai's blasting him. Word of Glory going to recover. It looks like they're split up a little bit, trying to make his way back to Maro. Maro blinks back even further. They're just going to continuously bait Tana out into the open. This is a great start, though, nonetheless. Divine Shield from the Rep Paladin, not even a minute in.
Yeah, not looking too bad. Kara was out in the open. Tana, unfortunately, not really able to back him up. It's just a really good go there by Skill Capped EU, and that's what you're going to expect from a team like Maro and Zeepai. I mean, these two have been playing this composition for such a long time together. Really, really just have that burst dialed in. And now Kara and Nerd Rage, for the first time in the game, are saying, hey, Pillar's looking pretty good right now. Let's just sit back. You know, I don't got Divine Shield. Let's just wait and see how this one does play out. And it looks like Tana will be able to recover them, but Maro's just doing a really good job forcing Kara to chase him really far on the open. Maro doing a great job there with his Shimmer on that Stormbolt. Big burst damage coming in, though. Nazgrath with his Avenging Wrath, trying to just keep Maro nice and healthy so he can reset that combustion and get another go.
Yeah, and Maro actually using that Rune of Power right there, trying to get some damage going, and this is the nightmare situation here for the Mage. Yeah, that was his last blink. If they connect onto Maro right now, it's going to be a lot of pressure onto Maro. He gets the Dragon's Breath, he uses the Shifting Power, trying to reset his blinks with it, and Zeepai needs to try to get these melees off of his Mage. Nice freedom there from Asgrath. Maro again going to use this map expertly here, moving back and forth, and Kara just going to be hitting Zeepai here, making sure that he always has some holy power left here in the bank, tossing out a few Word of Glories, just making sure that, you know, they're staying alive, staying healthy here for that next Stormbolt here. Maro now going to use his blink, looking for it. Ooh, he gets a beautiful invisible Ring of Frost right there onto Tana, and that means Kara needs to run for his life here. Now, it wasn't actually the combustion there from Maro as well. He really likes to use those meteors without combusting to try to bait out extra cooldowns and then go for the combust, especially in this matchup where it's so hard to actually get those combust resets. Finally, Blessing of Protection going to be used there by Asgrath on that Bastion Spear, and now a little bit of downtime here. They're just going to hit Zeepai for fun, and now there's the combustion by Maro. He's going to immediately duck for cover here. Kara, Nerd Rage going to be the secondary target, but the Warrior, that's the guy that you want the enemy team to hit if you are Oldness Strikes. Big pressure onto Zeepai. Ooh, they knock Kara into Maro, and that's going to be a free swap on tomorrow. There's a Stormbolt, and they don't have the Spear of Bastion yet, but a lot of damage nonetheless here. Maro needs to be very, very careful here.
All right, let's see what he does. Popping that mirror images, getting some damage reduction. Defensive Ring of Frost gets interrupted here. Nice pummels and rebukes from Nerd Rage and Kara teaming up and really making this tough for Maro. Asgrath bombing in heals from the back line. Zeepai lobbing in Lava Burst from off screen. Kara going to take the brunt of those, looking like he wants to retreat, but then gets topped off by Tana. Asgrath plays very far away here from incoming crowd control, and so that he can drink into the late game. Maro polymorphs Nerd Rage. Kara gets stunned up by the Lightning Lasso. Good teamwork here. Tana rolls up to try and get an Earth Grab Totem on Asgrath. Stops the drink, but he did get some mana back. Asgrath now stunned up by huge lightning bolt on Kara. One Word of Glory. Catching himself a heal there while Tana's in the polymorph, but he runs back out into midfield. Risky play here. Divine Shield comes off cooldown in 1 second. It might go back on cooldown in 1 second if he's not careful. Ducking around the corner on this pillar now as well. Tana taking some hits. Kara trying to charge back in onto target. Having a tough time making it to Maro. Just expert positioning here out in the corner, forcing the entirety of Oldness Strikes out in the open for Zeepai to just tee off. Lava Burst after Lava Burst onto Kara. Looking for a Hex here. Trying to find it onto Tana. Trying to fake some interrupts. Finds a full Hex. Lightning Lasso. Meteor. There's the combustion. Huge hit over onto Kara. Ducking for cover. recovering with that Shield of Vengeance, Word of Glory. No Divine Shield forced on that, and now Combustion's out of the way. If I'm Kara, it's time to go chase this mage and get a Cauterize.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if they can do it. Morrow once again using Shimmer. He has no Shimmers left, so at this point, this is a great opportunity, but Kara and Nerd Rage, they don't want to overextend and leave Tana at the mercy of Zeepai, getting those nice Wind Shear hexes consistently, and I like the way Morrow's playing this one. He's just creating as much space as he can, kind of baiting Tana off the pillar, and as soon as that happens, that's when Zeepai can kind of bully him in the matchup. Dampening has just kicked in, and I feel like I'm not sure who actually is favored in Dampening at this point. If we look at mana, there's a slight lead right now for Asgrath, but I don't think it's going to end up mattering. Hammer of Justice now onto Asgrath. This big burst goes out on tomorrow. This could easily be his Cauterize. Looks like the shifting power is enough to give him another Shimmer. And it does look like the Spirit Link Totem was actually dropped out as well. Morrow's just going to plant with his Rune of Power, but he has to run basically immediately away from that damage buff as Kara and Nerd Rage are really putting out the pressure.
Yeah, and Morrow activating his Alter Time right there. Doesn't get purged on it. He's going to go back to full HP there. He has a couple of shields. Doing a great job so far kiting. And, I feel like any other team, the mage would already be dead here. Nerd Rage now finally getting a lot of pressure here. And you can see that warrior, if that ret was just there for a split second, that would have been the Cauterize or the Ice Block right there for Morrow. But instead, he's going to be able to survive. Asgrath now getting Hammer of Justice on his Divine Favor. Morrow immediately going to be forced to use the Cauterize right there. And now Asgrath has a lot of work ahead of him. There's the Reflect onto the Sheep, and there it is. Sacrifice coming out from Asgrath as well. And this is what happens. Now Nerd Rage getting swapped through here. Big damage. Kara, though, topping him up with one Word of Glory right there. Tana still in crowd control, though, but look at Kara just spamming out Word of Glory. As soon as he has a target to hit, he's going to keep that warrior nice and healthy. His shaman is on DR, which means they can do whatever they want. And there it is. Kara now looking for a Hammer of Justice there to get the Spear of Bastion on tomorrow. Morrow now trying to drag this warrior behind the pillar. Nerd Rage realizing that that is a position he does not want to be in. Gonna go ahead and just swap to Asgrath and Zeepai here with Kara instead. And they're just slowly but surely withering down Morrow's cooldowns. But Tana also expending a lot of mana here, most likely purging a decent amount in those setups too. So let's see if that mana becomes an issue later on in the game.
All right, Tana and a Polymorph. This needs to be the setup. Kara gets blasted, ducking for cover. Wrapping around the corner, Word of Glory teaming up with Nerd Rage. Should be fine. They could set up on Tana. Just a little bit of poke damage out of this Ring of Frost, potentially. Pre-Earthen Wall Totem was excellent from Tana. It looks like Oldness Strikes wants to get aggressive. If they can pull off a win over on Arena against a Wizard Cleave, then they're looking good for the series. They might even be able to take the entire tournament. And, old doesn't mean that you can't still be pro taking on Skill Capped EU. Asgrath stunned up. Nerd Rage the target. Is he ready for the hit? Popping that Avatar. Kara pops that Divine Toll. Big Judgment crits over on tomorrow. He's going to Ice Block immediately on this exchange. Zeepai is trying to launch some damage as well, but Morrow's stable. Avenging Wrath is up. He's got Combustion ready. They need to basically net a kill with this. They could go after Tana. He's got no Trinket. They set up with Blinding Light. Are they going to go after Tana or Polymorph him? Spell Reflect on it. Stun over onto Kara. Sheep on Tana. 3 versus 1 onto Nerd Rage. They need to get a kill right here and now with this play. They don't find it. Rallying Cry comes through. Dive on the Sword trades from Nerd Rage. They survive the combustion. And now guess what? There's no Cauterize. There's no Ice Block. They're gunning down for Morrow. Kara rolls over for that Hammer of Justice. Are they ready for the hit? It could be massive. That Wild Seed, they're pushing for it. Down to half. Asgrath trades again with the sacrifice. Avenging Wrath. Now Kara getting blasted by Zeepai. Zeepai trying to put the team in his back pocket. Big lava burst from downtown, and Kara actually has to Divine Shield that incoming lava burst. Zeepai puts his team back in the game.
Really good burst damage there by Zeepai. At the same time, Nerd Rage responded to that situation perfectly in order to survive, but now Kara is definitely an open target here. Spirit Link Totem as well as Trinket available for Tana, and he does use it. He uses everything, and just in a few moments, Skill Capped EU manages to get Oldness Strikes defensive cooldowns, basically every single one of them, and it puts them back in this game. Morrow's still going to be a little bit scared here. There's no sacrifice to back him up. Kara has his wings up in just 33 seconds, and I feel like in 33 seconds, if Kara and Nerd Rage can stay on target, Morrow is going to be in a world of trouble. Asgrath does not have the cooldowns to keep him alive, and it's going to be up to Zeepai, up to Morrow to somehow stay alive or even take down Kara in the next few moments. We were almost at 25% dampening. Big damage going out onto Kara, and he gets dropped. They set it up perfectly. Skill Capped EU doing a great job with this composition on this map, and they are up now in this series.
Goodness, Kara just getting melted. really quick at the end there. That's going to be skill capped up for that last game. Well done by them here. And I feel like that entire game pretty evenly matched. Lots of trade-offs there. Do we feel like this is gonna end it for skill cap? Are they gonna win this next game here, or is this gonna be game number 5 series, do you think, Ben?
I mean, it really could go either way. That was an extremely close game. I really feel like if Kara was able to just hold on another like 20 seconds and he got his wings up, Mara was going to potentially get dropped. So it just shows you how evenly matched these two teams are. And we're going to be going to a much smaller map now. And I feel like on a small map, Maro's not going to have as much freedom, as much fun trying to kite away and constantly be able to pull away from Tana, and that's when it becomes a nightmare situation. But there are a few big maps left, so if we see a small map and we do see Oldness Strikes pick up a win, then Skill Cap EU can once again run this composition, but it's not a 100% win like a matchup like this would be in the past. The Retribution Paladin can still really bring the pain, and they were able to survive quite a long time against this burst setup. But I have to say, Zipai did such a great job really backing up Maro. And I guess if you're going to be a mage in this particular matchup, you want a good elemental shaman on your team, setting up hexes and lassos and purges and off heals, and it just made it a lot better.
And if we do go to a small map like you're predicting, then where does that advantage come for Oldness Strikes?
Well, basically, it's going to be a lot easier for Kara and Nerd Rage to stay on target, so Maro doesn't have as much space to kind of run around. But the big thing is Tana doesn't have to be pulled out into the open, because that's what's happening consistently over and over. Maro's just dragging the Paladin, the Warrior, away from the Shaman. Shaman can't get off the Purges on the Triune. He can't get off the Purges on the Blessing of Freedom. And that really snowballs, or really hurts the momentum of Oldness Strikes. All those buffs sitting, whereas normally the Shaman on a small map can just purge them off, and they can really keep up the aggression.
All right, well, we will see shortly what map they do decide to go with. Oldness Strikes, as they did lose that last game, they are up on the table to choose their map. So we'll see shortly what they decide to do. While they do that, we are going to check out a replay from that last game, break down exactly what we just saw.
Yeah, so I mean, at this point, you can see Maro's cooldowns. He's basically in a checkmate situation. They got the Divine Shield, but honestly, Divine Shield is not even that reliable without the sacrifice, because there's so much damage from that Ret Warrior. But Maro manages to reset his combustion here, and he gets a sheep onto Nerd Rage, which forces out the Dispel. And as soon as they get that, there's the Sky Fury, Tana, no grounding totem, and basically it all comes down to Maro just getting that sheep on the Warrior immediately. As soon as that Dispel goes on cooldown, they know no grounding totem, no Dispel, they're split up. We can get a fat Meteor here with nobody stacking in it. Let's do it. And they're able to take the win. And kind of like we said, the map is just a massive factor. I feel like next game, we're going to go back to the Frost DK blind lock on the small map. And then if Oldness Strikes wins that, we could see this matchup again on something like an Ashamance.
I actually think they should play Boomkin Ellie on a small map.
I was just gonna say, we saw Maro, bring out his balance druid a little bit in the end of BFA, but yeah, you think that we're gonna see it, Supertees?
I think if whoever's getting attacked just runs laps, like if they pick Dalaran for a small map, whoever's getting attacked runs laps, the other person just attacks the whole time. If you play Balance of All Things Boomkin, you get damage every time you Eclipse. That's more than enough if you ignore the Boomkin. If you go after the Boomkin, you have to do a Zipai free casting, and he's kind of running the like Omega one-shot legendary where you cast a Fire, Frost, and the Nature spell, and all your damage is increased by 15% for 10 seconds. It's a very long combo, but when you get the whole combo off and you duplicate all your Lava Bursts with Echoing Shock, you're going to KO somebody. And I feel like the Boomkin is going to be way more durable. You have Thorns to really annoy the Warrior and the Ret when you drag them around corners. You could even run Bash if you don't want to run Root Beam in this matchup. You could just bash the Ret behind pillars, try and kill him without him being able to use Word of Glory. I think the Boomkin would be a more durable option than this in a small map specifically. If they get to go back to the larger map, then Fire Mage is probably going to be better, but I would like to see Maro try Boomkin.
Oldness Strike actually beat a Boomkin Alley on their way up in that top 4. Probably not as good as Skill Cap, but they just sat on the Boomkin for like a solid 8 minutes or so and ended up winning in the open bracket. So I don't know. In theory, there's definitely some potential there, but it's something that they already did beat. So we'll see. It could work. I think we're just going to see the Mela cleave them.
All right, well, we will find out shortly. They are going through the draft process. So if by some chance we do see them bring out that class spend, what do you think the counter comp would be for Oldness Strikes?
I think Oldness Strikes is just going to play the same thing every game. I think they're just going to play Wrestler, Shaman, Warrior, Rep Paladin for every game for the rest of the tournament. I would anticipate. I think it's just a really well-rounded composition. You have a lot of defense. You have a lot of offense. Mana isn't really an issue for the Restoration Shaman. And yeah, I think overall it's really durable. I think it could be one of the best comps in the entire game right now. But we'll see if they can actually pull off a win. Right now, they're behind in this series. They need to pick up 2 wins. Hook Point is going to be an excellent map to do so. And you can tell Skill Cap EU, they don't want to play with a mage or an elemental shaman on this smaller map. It's going to be much more difficult for them to run away. So locking in a melee cleave of their own for this particular matchup. But the nice thing is, because they are up in the series, even if they do lose this game, that means they can go to a big map like Asha Mains and potentially pull off a victory with that Fire Mage once again.
Yeah, you know, they've got a few chances left on Oldness Strikes here. 2-1 going into this game on Hook Point. Game number 4 at Skill Cap EU versus Oldness Strikes.
All right. This is a potential, this is match point here for Skill Cap EU. And we saw this matchup already play out 1-1. Definitely not a convincing victory on either side. So this could be Oldness Strikes getting knocked down to the lower bracket right here and right now. If Skill Cap EU can get those big setups, they're looking for it right now. They got the Blinding Sleep, Kara 3 freedoms, and look at his position. He's going to just be ready to toss out those Word of Glories. He gets a nice sacrifice there, and now Kara's looking to solo Asgrath. Asgrath immediately responding with his wings. Lizzo taking damage, a bit of a split strategy coming out here. Nerdridge now Blade Storming with that legendary, doing massive damage. Lizzo in a disarm right now, and once again, they're looking for that shaman here. Tana needs to be extremely careful. Zipa is all over him here, gets feared up there. If they can connect with a stun there, that could be lights out. It could be a Trinket Spirit Link already for Tana. He's going to use the a big Aura Mastery heal there. He gets stunned on it. Blessing of Protection. Gonna trade out, and Asgrath now in a full fear into a Hex. Blizzo in massive trouble right now. Asgrath, what are you gonna do? You trade out the anti-magic zone there. Excellently done there by Zipai. And now Zipai looking to set up the next Blinding Sleep here as soon as Blizzo recovers from that pressure.
Well, let's see if he can. I mean, he's still down at half with not really a lot left here. Will he be able to recover and stay on target? They're chasing down Tana, but that Freedom Ghost Wolf getting tons of value. Asgrath now on the back foot. Huge Wake of Ashes from Kara across the entire team. But the grip into triple Blinding Sleet, triple Spear of Bastion. They're really tearing in right now. Nerd Rage, desperate, pops Die by the Sword. Tana pops the Ascendant, Sanctuaried out of crowd control and trying to retreat away from the cleave. But it's not the Abomination Limb from the Death Knight Zipai. That's really when they're going to be in trouble. And they just netted some very powerful cooldowns before that moment. And now Asgrath, though, in trouble if he doesn't trade effectively. Down at half, getting chopped up by Kara and Nerd Rage. Much more faster paced with the double melee into double melee. Asgrath patiently holding on to Divine Shield, cautiously trying to stabilize, but caught into a Storm Bolt. Big sweeping strikes from Nerd Rage across the board here with that Sharpened Blade. They need to spread out. They need to get ready. Kara is trying to retreat away from the cleave here as we see a leap from Blizzo onto Tana. Zipai wants to get a triple setup here in range with the triple Abomination Limb. Pillar of Frost comes up in about 10 seconds. That's where they need to set up. Blizzo's got Warbreaker. They could turn this around quite quickly, but Asgrath's on the back foot. Every second counts. Asgrath has to Divine Shield. Will there be a shattering throw? Nerd Rage shatters the Divine Shield. Asgrath has to pop the Avenging Wrap, but here comes the grips. Zipai is ready for it. Tana lays down the Earthen Wall, but I'm not sure it'll be enough. Abomination Limb, Spear of Bastion, Wombo, combo, dragon across the board. Kara has to Divine Shield. Tana and Kara were ready. They're not going to throw in the moment like they did last time. Tana is still struggling, though. Even with Astral Shift, they could get a Spirit Link Totem. They're desperately trying to push Tana for it. Is he going to have to drop it? He does. And suddenly, both sides are running on fumes.
Yeah, but Tana's still not out of the woods yet, trying to run away. This damage from Zipai and Blizzo. Tana might just get dropped. Kara trying everything he can to try to keep him alive, just spamming out the heals. Nerd Rage even going for a Door of Shadows, potentially going for that Disorient. Asgrath now getting swapped to no Trinket, no Divine Shield. He's going to be in some trouble, but lining up his Avenging Wrath with Kara's now has just faded. That anti-magic zone from Zipai really slowing down the damage from Oldness Strikes. Kara not going to be happy with that one, and once again, both these teams kind of stabilize here, but Oldness Strikes, you can't help but feel like Tana is in a lot of trouble. If you look at the defensive cooldowns, there's basically no options left, and this just could be it. This is the big wombo combo. Once again, Zeekby and Blizzo looking to crush Tana, and he gets dropped. Nicely done there by Skill Cap EU once again. And even with their new roster, bringing in Asgarath on that healer, their flexibility in these matchups, going from a wizard cleave, going to a melee cleave, and just dominating shows why they're such a powerful team.
Yeah, I mean, just look at their roster as well on Skill-Capped.eu. I mean, Oldness Strikes, they have some excellent veteran players as well, but Skill-Capped.eu, what a strong team and what a strong roster they have here. Excellent start to the season here, 3-1 against Oldness Strike, and